E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a draft day edition of Birds 365 here across the JAKIB Sports Network. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. We made it, Johnny Mac. It is draft day in the NFL world. How you feeling this morning, my friend?
Finally, we made it. Yeah, the last 2-3 weeks really drags when it comes to the NFL draft because you got all the hot take artists I think have run out of gas by that point, and you go through it so many times, and there's only so many avenues you can go through, but it all picks up again because it's here, and stuff will actually begin to happen. And I do think, there's probably going to happen pretty quickly as far as, top 5, top 10 potential trade outs. I think Arizona is trying to get out at 3. I think the Browns are trying to get out at 6. And, I don't know if that's
trying to get out, John, but who'd be trying to get back in? That's the question, right?
Well, there's a lot, the Saints, a lot of talk about the Saints going up to 3, maybe to get one of the pass rushers, whoever the Jets don't take. For anybody trying to move up to 6, they're probably going after one of the offensive tackles, either Malagoa or Monroe Freeling, I would think, as the upside. So I think that's the point. But I get it. When you're these bad teams and you're in the draft with a year with no quarterbacks, and the Raiders will get the only quarterback deemed worthy of being in the top really 15. It's kind of disappointing. But if you're a bad team, go get good players. And there aren't a lot of great players in this draft. And if you drop out, you're not going to get one of them. Like, I don't care if they're not valued positions. When I talk about the best players in this draft, typically Jeremiah Love, number 1, is a running back. Number 2, Caleb Downs, in my opinion, safety. All right, they're typically not valued position. When I watched on Sunday, running backs are really meaningful. I saw 2 years ago a running back have 2,000. They're really freaking meaningful. He touched the football 482 times. Safeties making plays all over. Even last year with Seattle and Nick Emenwari, who dropped to the second round. It's like, what are we doing, man? Go get the good players. All right, this is a year where the good players happen to not be quarterbacks. I sometimes I don't get this league, and that's where I am starting today because again, some of the best players in this draft are unconventional as far as where you want to allocate assets to. But yeah, they're bad teams. They're bad teams in bad organizations for a reason. And that's because they make bad decisions time after time, stack them. Like everybody talks about stacking good decisions. These organizations stack bad decisions. And I think you're going to see that in the top 10.
No doubt about it, John. It's a great rundown by you. And I heard Howie, they put out a little clip or I don't know what it was, I don't know, some goofy thing of him and Nick sitting there, but he did say something like that in terms of you don't want to go and chase players, chase your needs and chase things. And that's something obviously we've talked about a long time, but it did make me think about this draft and say, what will Howie do? Will Howie go more unconventional? Will he look for a safety? Who's going to be there at 23? And we're going to do that today. We're going to look all around pick 23, what the teams are, what the needs of those teams are, and who the trade candidates could be with the Eagles. But it does make me wonder what Howie's going to do here. Maybe he doesn't go the conventional line of thinking, John. Do you want the 5th or 6th best offensive lineman, in the draft, or do you want the second best safety if Dylan Thieneman is there or something like that, So I was thinking about that and what Howie could do here in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still heavily leaning offensive line for the obvious reasons. One, it's a foundational position. I wrote about that this morning. I think it's published on SI. Number one, it's a foundational position. Number two, there's nine. Let me say that again. Nine potential offensive linemen that could go in the first round of the draft. You could argue 10 if you want, if you really want to stretch it. Probably not going to happen because teams will be looking. Bad teams will be looking to make bad decisions. But there are 9 or 10 capable offensive linemen who could be first round picks. And then, the players that would be there at 23 fit. Now, I do think they're probably going to try to move up with the idea of getting Caden Proctor and or Monroe Freeling if he starts to drop a little bit. That's my guess. But if you have to sit there at 23, I still think it's the best case scenario. Guys like Caleb Lomu and Max Ionacker and players like that. So just because of the numbers and one thing, because I hear that a lot. Well, why do you want the seventh best? Well, if the seventh best offensive is better than the second best safety, take the seventh best
Right.
offensive.
But most of the time that might not be true. I mean, how many times do you get
Most of the time it may not be true. This time it is true. So yeah,
we think so. I mean, we don't know what these players are.
Well,
but
I'm talking about
trades
projected. Like that, obviously, yeah. You don't know. There's going to be guys in the top 10 that probably don't develop, but projected. It's a very strong offensive tackle draft until you hit about 7 or 8, and even then, really until you hit 8, I say, because I like the kid from. And he's not going to be a first round pick, but I like the kid from Northwestern as well. So I think Caleb Tiernan, more of a second round pick, but I think that's where the drop off happens at tackle. So you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. And then you have a drop. So it's really strong at the top, really strong at the top. And then, people are forgetting the guards. And I think, Vega is one of the best players in the draft, and Chase Basantis might be a first round pick. So, that's more unlikely for the Eagles, but I would take Vega. I'll tell you that right off the bat. I would
take Vega too, but does that set them up for a tougher spot in the future? Because that would technically be getting Landon Dickerson's replacement, or I guess Steen's.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler's on the final year of his rookie deal, so. Obviously if you draft him and Landon Dickerson stays healthy by the grace of God, then you have
two great
unfortunately
guards.
Yeah. Tyler Steen's on the way out. Sometimes you have to leave. And Tyler's a pretty good player. And there's still room to grow.
Yeah, but the Eagles' history is even if he's a good player, they're probably not going to pay the right guard.
No.
So then you could get a couple years down the line and put Vega in at left guard when Landon's probably done. I think Landon's got 2 or 3 years left. Hopefully. I don't even know if he's going to be able to play this year, to be honest, which is another reason I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world to get a guard. But obviously, to me, the home run pick is Proctor because he can start at guard and then move out to right tackle. But the late hype on him is just growing and growing and growing. Some of the big name people came out with their final mock drafts, and I know McShay had him going at 6. McShay had Proctor going at 6?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And that's the highest, and
that's the highest I've seen.
Yeah. I don't think, because he's replacing him, and that in essence you have to have him behind Malagoa and Freeling for that. But there's one pretty high profile guy that's got him going in the top 10, and I've heard a bunch of the floor to me is 17 in Detroit. So yeah, that they're desperate for a tackle. So I'm trying to look at him. Peter Schrager did his. He had the Rams picking him, Proctor.
I don't think the
And
Rams
actually,
did that.
I actually had Detroit moving up to take him, so I should at the Ram
Okay,
slot.
gotcha.
Then I'm trying to look at where.
I saw Daniel Jeremiah, who obviously our listeners know that's one of the draft guys that you like and respect as well.
Yeah. So, and again, most people have him going off at 17 to the Lions if he lasts that long. So you're going to, at the bare minimum, you're going to have to probably go up to 16, I would think.
For
And
Daniel
a lot of
Jeremiah,
people,
John, he had him trading to 15 and taking them. You mentioned that Daniel Jeremiah had him taking Proctor. They went to 15 in his mock to where the Buccaneers are, and they took Proctor there. The interesting thing I thought about that, John, was in that mock, it's obviously a mock. It's not to say it's going to happen, but in this scenario, Caden Proctor was there at 15, and Monroe Freeling was still on the board. Jeremiah mocked him at 17 to the Lions. If the Eagles had that pick, Proctor, Freeling, do you have any indication on what way you think they would go, or do you think it would be Proctor?
yeah, I think it would be Proctor. So
Wow,
simply because of his ability to. There is, I mean, if you're going to go up to get a guy at 15, that's an example to use DJs. You're going to go up to get a guy at 15, and you're just going to sit him. That wouldn't go over well. Not that you can think that way. So I'd be like, I don't mind it, but most people would go, wait a minute, you traded up to 15, you're a Super Bowl contender, and you're not going to play the guy. Whereas, and that would be the case with Freeling. He's not beating out Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata. Now, a lot of people forget, and this is how he's thinking overall. I think the number was like 1350, something like that. That's the number of snaps Fred Johnson's played over the past 2 seasons. Significant number of snaps. So obviously with the age and the injury history of Lane Johnson, probably going to need that third tackle to play a decent amount of snaps. So it wouldn't bother me, but it would bother the shit out of everybody else. I guarantee you that. And despite the fact that they do a pretty good job of ignoring the outside noise, that would be significant. So I think Proctor's the perfect fit because he can play guard. A lot of people project him to be a guard. And then you can move him out to right tackle whenever Lane decides to go on, but decides to move on. So that's why I would say Proctor. Freeling is, probably has the higher ceiling, but a lot of inexperience, hasn't played that much at Georgia. A lot of it's projection. And he would have to sit, which again wouldn't be a bad thing. In fact, I think it would be a very good thing, but it wouldn't go over well.
Fair enough. John, I was reading Zach Berman's article yesterday, or what he put out before the draft, local, obviously, Zach Berman, for those who know him, with The Athletic. He put out a good excerpt. It was all stuff that me and you have talked about, but just reinforced a couple of things that I thought were worth reading here. He put them out in pictures also with his article. He put this: look for the Eagles to focus on addressing the offense early in the draft and not necessarily with the 2026 offense in mind. So something we've talked about a lot, John, is the offense. What Howie said, the Eagles addressing offense, but he threw in the not necessarily with the 2026 offense in mind. And then he put the Eagles are looking for starter level traits, something you say all the time, and are more focused on what that player will become rather than what the player will be when he arrives. So I saw that, and it's no big surprise. It's nothing out of the ordinary, but it did make me think, boy, Howie might be coming into this draft not as much focused on 2026's offense, and maybe he needs foundational pieces that are going to be here, not only today, but are here for the long haul type of thing.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's prepping you for the offensive lineman with that, and probably the tackle. So that's sort of the little tea leaf he left out there, and That's why Zach picked up on it, because Zach knows what he's doing.
But doesn't Freeling kind of fit that bill a little better than Proctor?
Well, he does, and I'm saying it fits that part of it. But I'm saying if they can get Proctor, he's the perfect scenario for them.
Right.
But if they can't get Proctor, which there's a good chance they can't get him, then he's preparing you for the Freelings of the world, or even if you're sticking at 23, the Ian Ackers or I hate butchering his name. I know I'm not right, but or Blake Miller or Caleb Lomo, even if he falls. So then he's prepping you for those guys who probably aren't going to be able to move inside. Spencer Fano probably could. And there's another guy that I think hasn't been talked about as much because he could fall a little bit. But again, it's like, who's your favorite player? This team going up to 6, whoever it might be, or Cleveland or the Giants, who might pick an offensive lineman at 10. Like, what's their favorite flavor? It's basically what it comes down to. It might be Mauigoa, might be Fano, might be Freeling. And the other one, if both those slots move and 2 offensive tackles are off the board, the other one's probably going to slip a little bit, at least somewhat. And it could be Proctor. As I said, somebody had him up at 6. Oh, McShay, what I was saying. So, yeah, it's like, what's your favorite player? Favorite flavor? Draft boards, NFL draft boards are like snowflakes, man. No 2 of them are alike. So, you get that. And that's one of the biggest misinterpretations, I think, of fans. It's like they got their list, they trust their guy, whoever, and they go down to the next guy. All right, he's not here. Take this guy. Well, I guarantee there's 9 offensive linemen, as I said. I guarantee the Eagles don't like all of them. Some of them you can just cross out because they're going to go too early. But of the group that might be there, the Ian Ackers, the Lomus, the Millers that might be there at 23, I guarantee they don't like one of them, at least, where they don't feel he's a fit for what they're doing. So I think that's something that people need to understand as well. And as Howie will say all the time, you can't dictate the board. So you know what Las Vegas is doing, but from that point forward, and I think the Jets are going Bailey, from that, and Arizona trying to trade out. If they stay, it's going to be Love. If they leave, somebody's probably trying to go up to get Arvell Reese.
Who do you think could go up there? It's just a tough spot to go up to, boy. You better be committed to whoever you want at number 3.
Well, I've seen a couple Saints because they don't have to go as far. They'd be going from 8 to 3 to get the pass rusher.
I guess that makes some sense.
So yeah, I mean, then you have Tennessee, which is probably locking down more towards Sonny Styles. And then you have 5, which is the Giants, which is obviously interesting. Now, if Love is there, if he falls, I think they take him. Otherwise, they could take Caleb Downs. They love Caleb Downs. All indications are. They could take Mauigoa, but remember, they have 5 and 10, so they're trying to double dip. Oh, they might go Jordan Tyson. They're a big Jordan Tyson team. Which would be very Giants-like. I think Eagles should hope that with that. Not that I think he's a bad player. I just think that's overdrafting. I think they want to get playmaker at 5 and then offensive lineman at 10, but we'll see how that shakes out. And by playmaker, I mean Love or Tyson, or if they're going defense, it would be Caleb Downs. But
yeah. I think Daniel Jeremiah had 2 offensive playmakers for them, didn't he? Let me look. Yeah, he had Jeremiah Love to the Giants at 5 and Carnell Tate to the Giants at 10. That'd be a haul.
Yeah, it would be. That would be very splashy, obviously, because 2 skill position players.
Yeah, but I kind of like it based on where they are in terms of you have a young quarterback. What helped Jalen Hurts get to the next level when Eagles traded for A.J. Brown, to me, that's kind of them doing their version
but
of
they
that.
don't have the offensive line in place.
I know.
You can't play offense. You can't block people.
Has their offensive line gotten any better?
A little bit. I mean, Andrew Thomas is a good player, but they need multiple.
They just can't get an offensive line in New York, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And look, as good as those guys are, and I love them both. They're one of the few. Love, I think, is the best player in the draft. I've said that. Tate's the best receiver in the draft. I love them both, but I don't care who you have. You can have Jim Brown and Jerry Rice. You can't block people. You can't play offense.
Right.
But it's not as sexy. Whereas you draft, say, Love and Francis Mauigoa, I don't think it's exciting, but I think it's better for you.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Or, even if it's Jordan Tyson, which again, I think would be a bad decision, and Mauigoa. But, it could be like, well, let's, you have Jeremiah's up. I don't have his up because somebody was nice enough to put on X. McShay, Schrager, Zierlein did their final mocks yesterday and put them up. And just take a look at 6. You have McShay has Proctor, Cleveland taking Proctor.
At 6?
Yeah. Schrager
Jeremiah has Spencer Fano at 6.
Schrager has Spencer Fano at 6. Zierlein has them trading to Dallas, who's coming up to get Arvell Reese, who slipped a little bit in his trade.
See, Daniel Jeremiah has Reese going at 3 with the Saints trade up to number 3.
Yeah, most people have him gone. McShay has him going to Arizona at 3. Schrager has him going to the Giants at 5. So Zierlein has him slipping to 6. So a lot of potential movement in the top 10, depending on who comes up, and what they're looking for. I've seen a couple, as I said, Saints going up to get Reese, but we'll see. But yeah, but to that offensive lineman, some of these teams are going to like Proctor, some are going to like Fanu, some are going to like Mauigoa. It's.
Is there one of them that you like the most if you had your pick of any of them?
Well, Vega.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
I to use, but just purely tackle. Mauigoa.
Yeah, me too.
I think the other, like Spencer Fanu is probably the best player, but I think the lack of arm length is real, and I think he might have to play guard. So I'm coming in with that mindset, and I don't have a problem with that. I think if you draft the guy, it's a great pick, but I think ultimately he's going to probably end up inside. And I think most of these teams at 6 are looking for an actual tackle. So that's the only reason I don't have him number 1. And then, Freeling, as I said, he's, you're swinging for the fences there, but he hasn't played a lot of football. So, and if you're the Eagles, you're probably not going to have to worry about it. But, then we're going to have the conversations. If they draft Monroe Freeling, you're going to have the conversations about Stoutland and not having him and Chris Cooper and the pressure on him. So, because there's going to Howie's point when he talked about developments, year 3 is what the Eagles are looking at, is what Howie specifically said. And I say that all the time. Half of the stuff I say I get from Howie, not, and it's all on the record. I don't say anything off the record that he gives us, but he's already said on the record, and that's why I say I think too many people, that's another thing with the draft. Too many people think you draft a good player or a bad player.
Yeah, it's so true. You've been saying that for years, John.
And no, there's a lot of development that goes into it once you get them into the building. And it could
That's
make
partly
or
my
break.
concern with the O line right now. I've been pounding the table for an offensive lineman. Don't get too excited tonight, everybody. That would be my preference, is that we don't have a big splashy night across JAKIB where we're talking about a new weapon. I want the offensive lineman, but I do have some level of concern on the development of that offensive lineman.
Well,
Not
yeah, it's
concern, just
fair. I mean,
uncertainty,
it's fair, but
uncertainty.
it's uncertain. It's
Right.
uncertainty is basically what it is. And everybody had trust in Jeff Stoutland, and that's understandable too. But give Chris Cooper a chance. There are some good offensive linemen in Minnesota. It hasn't been the Giants. Christian Darrisaw was one of the top 5 left tackles in football until he tore his ACL, and we'll see if he can get back. Donovan Jackson, they drafted him last year, looked really good for a rookie. So we'll see how he develops going down the road. But it wasn't all bad, but there were some bad ones as well. The first round pick on Garrett Bradbury's just below average player who turned into an average player in New England. And we'll see what he does in Chicago now. Ed Ingram, second round pick, below average player in Minnesota who turned into an above average player in Houston. So those are some of the cautionary tales. And you say, all right, well, why was he so bad in Minnesota? Why is he good enough to get a big money deal in Houston? Legitimate question. But some guys need a kick in the ass too. And that's a wake-up call. You come in as a second round pick and you say, well, I got my job and this and that. And all of a sudden you don't have your job, and maybe it's a kick in the ass. There could be so many different things.
Yeah.
But
all right, John, you had those 3 mocks in front of you. I'm not sure if you still have them, but if you can, pull them back up. I want to give the Eagles pick for all of them for the people listening. So I have Daniel Jeremiah's up. I mentioned it earlier in the segment, but I will restate it. He had the Eagles trading up with the Buccaneers at number 15 to draft Caden Proctor at 15 overall for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that is your first round draft pick on Daniel Jeremiah's latest mock draft. What are you seeing on your side, John?
McShay has them trading up also to 15 with Tampa Bay and getting Monroe Freeling. Now, that partially the reason is because Caden Proctor in his mock went off the board at 6.
Right.
So he's not available.
Where did Francis Mauigoa go on his?
10 to the Giants,
okay,
which makes sense. A lot of people have put those two together. Schrager has them staying put, which I'm surprised, and taking Ian Aker. And Zierlein had them staying put and taking Caleb Lomu. So everybody's got offensive line. McShay's got him going up to get Freeling, Schrager staying put, Zierlein staying put, and Jeremiah trading up to get an offensive lineman. So if you're a betting man, I said, the best prop bet is they're taking an offensive lineman. I mean, that's a good prop for all those reasons. 9 potential guys. It's a foundational part of the philosophy since 1999.
And there's more questions there than there's been in quite a bit of time.
Yeah. So it makes sense. And, but they also, they legitimately I know this for a fact. They're one of the teams that really likes Jordan Tyson. That could be a splash to, get a replacement for AJ. I wouldn't like that. I don't think they could get up this high because I think he's going really quick. because NFL
Where
teams love
was
him.
Tyson mocked in some of those? He was mocked number 7 in Daniel Jeremiah's to the Washington Commanders.
McShay's got him going number 9 to the Chiefs.
Okay.
Schrager's got him going number 10 to the Giants. And Zierlein's got him going number 8 to the Saints. So 8, 9, 10. And, I've seen as high as 5 with the Giants.
So you have 8, 9, 10. I got 7 with Jeremiah.
Yeah.
So 7, 8, 9, 10. That's probably where Tyson will fall. We will see what happens with that. I don't know if I'd like that, John.
I wouldn't like it.
I think he's going to be a good player, but we just don't use our pass catchers enough, dude, for us to go and draft an offensive weapon right now, to me.
No,
That's what it feels
well,
like.
I don't think they can get that high, so I think that helps out. But
I was trying to use the analogy yesterday, though, because Celia was like, why would you take an offensive lineman and put him on the bench? And I'm like, well, why would you take a skill position player when you just had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and your offense still struggled to throw the ball through the air? Like, are you of the belief that you're going to get rid of A.J., draft Jordan Tyson, and all of a sudden that's going to fix the passing offense? It's not. It's not. So I think the loss of A.J., if that ultimately comes to fruition, in a way is somewhat de-emphasized here because it's not their main weapon. It's like their third or fourth tool in the shed. If you're a righty and you're right-handed,
well, and also
you cut off your left hand, well, it's not going to be as big of a deal as if you cut off your right hand. It's not their main thing. So I just felt like it wasn't the right move to go that way. Doesn't mean I'm right, but that's just what was my thought process.
No, I agree. And remember, he'd be coming in. He wouldn't be coming in as the wide receiver 1. That's Devontae Smith.
He'd be the 2, though.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But again, to your point, it's not the greatest show on turf. It's not going to be utilized the same way. So, yeah, I that one, I think Eagles fans should, rest assured that he's out of their reach, because if he becomes in their reach, I think they might make a poor decision. In my opinion, it's just like, I can't say I'm right, but in my opinion, they would be in the position to make a poor decision.
I agree with you. And that's kind of the way the Eagles are built. That's the way they've been successful. I like this comment. Lord Smack says, I'd rather my main thing be running the football and pass when we need. Well, that's what they do, brother. And that's why you're not going to – I don't think they should draft a wide receiver in round 1 here. So I'm more in the camp of the offensive lineman. We'll see if the Eagles do end up making a trade up, John. With some of these projected trades, I think one of the ones you read was, what was it, 15 or 16, right? 15 for you too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 15 on Jeremiah's too. What do you think they have to give up for that to get to 15?
The early 3rd round pick and probably their first 4th round pick.
Ooh,
I was looking at that yesterday.
that's kind of a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. But presumption is you don't want to give up the 2nd round pick. So
I know, but you had some good landing spots. You had some good players landed to the Eagles at your first 3rd round pick and your first 4th round pick.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the strength of the draft is
Right.
is day 2. I think that's where, and I saw somebody else say it. I think it was Elliot Wolf who said it yesterday. He said, I don't think there's much difference between 25 and 50 or something in that range. Might have been 20 to 50. Just another guy who said the same thing. So 54, you're probably going to bleed into one of that top 50 because 2 quarterbacks are going to go. So and other teams are going to reach. Bad teams are going to reach. So you're going to get a good player at 54 if you keep it. Now I had him trading it to go get Grenard, but you're going to get a good prospect at 54 if you keep it. But the bottom from 23 on down, and really because I'm just using that because that's where the Eagles are picking. But I would say from 20 on down, you're going to see some, I think, people you don't expect to see. Because there's going to be people that say, oh, you know what? I like maybe Traden Stukes, a guy we've talked about a lot with the Eagles. I could see him being a first-round pick. Colton Hood, I think is going to be a first-round pick. I don't think there's been a lot of hype around him. Trying to think about other guys.
This is the corner out of Tennessee, Colton Hood?
Yeah. I think he's going to be a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a lot of him mocked around.
How about some of those edge rushers?
Chris Johnson, another one
Yeah.
for a corner. I think he might be a first-round pick. Oh, yeah, the edge rushers. Well, I think
Chris Johnson, too, the San Diego State kid.
Yeah. He might go late. So one of those defensive tackles. Now, I talked about the kid from trying to pull up his name. The kid from Florida had some injury issues, so maybe he falls out. Caleb Banks. I could, not now, but Christian Miller, the Ohio State kid. I think he will be a first-round pick. So there's going to be a lot of guys that I think shock people that they're going to go in the first round. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, I haven't seen a lot. Have you seen Malachi Lawrence, another guy?
I saw him now. Yeah, I saw him too.
You were talking about edge rusher. That's why I brought him up.
Yeah. Peter Woods, he could go around.
Peter Woods, yeah. But I've seen people mock him. That's why I didn't mention. He's a bridge pick. It wouldn't shock me if he was a first rounder. But the guys like Chris Johnson, the latecomers, Malachi Lawrence, a lot of hype on him. Chris Johnson is the one, so Jadarian Price maybe at 32 overall, but I've seen that quite a bit because Seattle needs a running back. Yeah, I think there's going to be a few surprises as far as who ends up in the first round. But I don't think that's the point. I don't think there's much difference between 20 to 50-ish.
Which is where you're right. That's where it could get interesting because teams at that point, if there's no real consensus, they're just going to take the guys that they like the best, and that could be way different than what we're seeing. So we will find out what it is. Good opening segment, everybody. It's draft day in the NFL world. The first round will kick off tonight around 8 p.m. Eastern time. So Eagles picking at pick 23. If they do one of these mocks and they trade up to 15 or 16, you'll probably be picking right dead in the middle. They did lower the amount of time between the picks from 10 to 8 minutes. Now, you might think that means it's going to be a shorter night. My lesson to you would be get ready for more commercials.
Yeah, exactly.
They got to boost the profits, folks. That's what they're focused on, not giving you a shorter night. So I think it'll go deep into the night still, but we will find out when the Eagles pick and where they pick. Let's go to a super chat this morning. I want to thank everybody for being here. Hit that like button. Let's go to Adam Stanley. What's up, Adam? Appreciate you, brother. He says this. Love the show. Thank you. J-Mac makes too much sense for people. I love when he loses his patience with idiots. Draft day. Let's go. There you go, Johnny Mac.
Well, I am logical. It frustrates me when people aren't logical. It does. It's bizarre to me, but I don't,
Does Mrs. McMullen love the logic of Mr.
Oh, no, she can't stand it. And nobody can stand it. I've learned that. That's part of the breeding. I'm like, I don't know if I have some kind of disease or something, but I'm like I don't understand people who don't think about things logically. And I don't know if that's good in a social sense. probably isn't good.
Yeah, but that's all right. Johnny Mac, that's who you are. We love it. I appreciate everybody being here. So for the next segment, I want to go, John, and look at some of the teams that are above the Eagles and below. But we've talked about all of them, basically. We talked about a lot of players. But my goal here is trying to figure out what trading looks like with each of these teams and what these teams want. You know, like you have the Rams at 13. A lot of people are projecting potentially, like I think they're drafting a receiver. You know?
Yeah, that most people think they are.
Right. Ravens at 14, Buccaneers at 15, Jets at 16. So we're going to take a look at some of these teams. Let's start with the Rams, John. What is your run? And I'm not. You don't need to know everything on these teams. I know your focus is obviously the Eagles, but you do have a good sense of the league for the most part. Always. Rams at 13, John. How likely is that as a trade up spot? And what do you think is going on with the Rams and what they're looking for and what it would take to move there if that's even likely or possible?
No, I don't. There's quite a bit of movement projected on various mock drafts for the Rams pick. So I think it could be had, but I don't think it could be had by the Eagles. I think it would be too expensive to go up that far. So from a Philadelphia standpoint, which is most important here, I don't think they can go up that high. As far as what if the Rams are forced to stay, I think they would love Tyson, but obviously that's not going to happen. But most people, because of what's going on with Puka, and you've seen, already with AJ and their interest in AJ Brown, they want a receiver. A lot of early talk on Lemon. I think that's a little bit too high for him in my potential opinion. So I've even seen some people with the Rams talk about Ty Simpson, because right. Matthew Stafford trying to get
Stafford. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that
could be a reason they'd want to trade out, right? I mean, because
I would think,
I
would think,
unless they go Falcons and they take them way earlier than they need to.
So of the three I have up, Schrager has Detroit trading up with them to take Caden Proctor, and the Rams falling back to 17, where they would take Kenyon Sadiq, which would be a different kind of weapon, but a glorified receiver. Zierlein has them staying put with Freeling, which I don't love the fit there. And McShay has him taking Ty Simpson, which I don't think they would take him at 13. I think more of what you think, which would be if they're going to go that route and they need an heir apparent, they would have to trade down, I think, for that. And then Jeremiah has him taking Lemon, which is, I would say, the consensus. I wouldn't do it, but
the thing with the Rams, though, sorry to cut you. The thing with the Rams that I feel with the receivers is they're one of the best teams for a receiver to go to and develop. So if a receiver has a chance of being a good receiver in the NFL, the Rams are a home run spot for them to go and get the most out of them. I mean, they got Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay.
Well, that's why
they're going to hit.
The Eagles are going to run that offense, so they should be able to do it.
I don't know about that. Johnny Mac.
Yeah, well, I'm joking. Everything's not the same. And Matthew Stafford is still playing at such a high level. He's going to get receivers up to their potential more often than not.
All right, so then next you got the Baltimore Ravens, John. I'm seeing a lot of Kenyon Sadiq to the Ravens. At 14, what do you think they do? What do you think they're looking for? And what do you think the chances of them trading up or back are?
I haven't seen much trade talk with the Ravens, ironically, since they traded the pick only to get buyer's remorse and grab it back. So I haven't seen a ton speculated. You mentioned Sadiq. They're a big tight end team, obviously, and they lost, Isaiah Likely. So that makes a lot of sense. But the other three, so that we've been talking about this morning, it was a clean sweep, and this is where Vega comes off the board at 14. McShay, Schrager, Zierlein all had them taken. Vega. Oh, Iowani.
Wow. 3 straight?
Yep. 3 straight.
Jeremiah's got him taking Sadiq.
Yep. So I think tight end or offensive line. There's only one tight end, obviously, potentially in the first round. And I don't even know if he is a tight end, but this is where it would start. You start thinking about Sadiq. And look, I think, teams are wise to take Vega anywhere. So I wouldn't complain at 6 for Vega, to be honest, but it's not going to happen. So I think that would be a good pick.
John, before we go to 15, which is the Buccaneers, I want to jump up to the Chiefs for a second. They're at pick 9, and Rasputin has said something a couple weeks ago, and he just reminded me of it, and I'm with him. He says, I am still stuck on Kansas City maneuvering to get Sadiq. I've kind of been thinking that the Chiefs are going to try and get that. That to me just looks like an Andy Reid player to me. Get Sadiq, and obviously they have Travis Kelce, who's on the latter days of his career. What do you think the Chiefs are going to do at pick 9? Because they kind of have their pick of the litter. They're going to be able to go a lot of different directions there, being at number 9 overall. Do you think they could maybe go Sadiq at number 9?
No, I think that's too high. I think if they're going to go get a playmaker, I think it's been corner with them or playmaker. And if it's the corner, it's the LSU kid, Mansour Delane.
Yeah, I could see that, Delane.
And obviously they traded Trent McDuffie. So that's part of the thought process there. If it's skill position, I mean, they wanted Jeremiah Love forever, but they knew they weren't going to get him, and that's why they signed Kenneth Walker. So I think they would hope that Jordan Tyson would fall to them. And that's a potential, looking less likely as the hours go by. But no, I don't think he's in the equation that early.
Well, my reason for saying it is everybody's talking about them needing a corner, which is obvious. I mean, they traded away Trent McDuffie this year, but they do have 2 first-round picks, and we've talked about the top of the draft how there's a drop off here from first-round picks to kind of whoever you like. I don't think they go the cornerback that high. I think they'd rather pick one of the corners at 29 than at 9. If I'm at 9, I'm trying to get a game.
Well, but I think the difference between Delane and number 2 is like a cavern. What
about, for example, Colton Hood?
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. He seems to be settling in as number 2. And the difference between 1 and 2 is enormous. In my opinion.
So you think you think Delane is more likely than them looking for
if you want a cornerback and you need a cornerback to play right away, you better get that kid, because there ain't nobody else in this draft that is going to be able to play right away, in my opinion. Maybe ironically the
Chris Johnson,
the other kid from Tennessee, but he's got injury concerns. Jermod McCoy.
Yeah, he's a good player too, actually.
But boy, man, whoever's taking Colton Hood, good luck, man. Good luck. I mean, I'm sure he'll be a fine player, but if you take him at 15-ish to 20-ish, because I've seen a lot of projections there, not 15, mainly 18 to Minnesota. I mean, bad organization, bad decision, bad result. It'll be fine. He'll probably long term will probably be a cornerback 2 who's okay starter. But boy, you guys want a
little Zander mock? Cowboys trade up from 12 to 9. to draft Caleb Downs. Chiefs go from 9 to 12, and they pick up Kenyon Sadiq at pick 12, and they draft Chris Johnson at pick number 29.
Well, as I said, if you want a corner, go get Delane, and if you don't, go draft the best guy in the second round. So I don't even know if they have a second round pick, but if it's,
I'm not sure if they do or not.
If McCoy falls because of the injury, Brandon Sissy, D'Angelo Pounds, Chris Johnson to me is a second round pick. Avion Terrell is a second round pick. That the value, I'm more comfortable with the value in the second round for all of them, including Hood.
Right.
But he's going to go in the first round, but I wouldn't take him in the first round.
Right. What do you think the ceiling and the floor is for Caleb Downs?
Oh, ceiling, all pro.
No, I'm talking about in the draft tonight. Sorry.
Oh, 5 Giants. Floor a little bit more difficult. Dallas is a good landing spot for him. New Orleans is potential.
It kind of feels like 12 might be the floor
if they stay put. And then I'm trying to think how. Yeah, I don't think he's going to last past the Cowboys. Would be probably the worst potential. Let's see. McShay's got him going to the Cowboys at 12. Schrager's got him going to the Saints at 8. Zierlein's got him going to the Giants at 5. And where's Jeremiah got him going?
Cowboys at 12. I don't think he gets to 12 though.
Yeah. So floor I would think is 12-ish.
All right, let's go back to what we were doing with the 13th we did with the Rams, 14th we did with the Ravens, 15th, John, you have the Buccaneers. Couple different projected trades here for the Eagles.
A lot of trades there.
Yeah, to get the 15th for the Birds. I don't know if that's something that they would do. To me, it feels rich if they got to give up what you said they'd have to give up, that first third and first fourth. I don't know, unless they really like that player. But how do you see the Bucs approaching the draft tonight? Trade up, trade down, and targets for them as a team.
Well, a lot of trade down talk. So I don't think, they evidently don't like the value. I've seen a lot of Messidor coming off the board, and that to me is why you would trade down. Like if you're going the Eagles, whoever had him trading with the Eagles, you're going from 15 to 23. Then if you take Messidor, that makes some sense to me. You get better value from that standpoint. McShay had him trading up to get the Eagles trading up with Tampa Bay to get Freeling because Proctor was already gone. And then they take Sadiq at 23, which would make some sense.
I don't think Sadiq gets to 23.
He might. I think his floor is about there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that. I just think he goes higher. I was listening to Baldy yesterday. Brian Baldinger was banging the table for Kenyon Sadiq. He's like, there's 8 difference makers in this draft. Kenyon Sadiq is one of them. Get him. Don't overthink it. Baldy can be convincing, John.
I mean, look, Baldy's like, I love the guy, but I mean, as to your point, stick to your point. It's a good point, Zander. They don't use what they freaking have.
I know. I'm not even
now you're going to add Sadiq to Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, Dontavian Wicks. I'm not even counting AJ. If AJ's here, they're never going to use the guy. Saquon Barkley. Wait, they're not going to. It's a waste. It is a complete waste of time. Now, do I think he's a difference maker in certain? Yeah, potentially. But here, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I mean, again, it's not. If you want to go, it's not about the immediacy of it, and you're talking about 2-3 years down the line when you have a different system installed, maybe a different quarterback installed, maybe we're having a different conversation. Operating with what they have now, they don't use what they have. What is he the magic elixir? Oh, well, now we're going to get to the passing game because we have Kenyon.
Well, to leave the Eagles out of it, I think that's true. I think what Baldy said is true, though, for other teams, and that's where I think it would happen.
Well, in the right system, but I don't think anybody's taking him as.
I'm telling you, Kansas City's a slam dunk for Sadiq. He would crush there.
I don't. Yeah, they use conventional tight ends. Even people don't think of Travis Kelce as a conventional, but he is.
He was, especially in his prime. He was a lot more so, but
and plus half of his skill set is just revolved around his chemistry with the quarterback. I mean, let's be honest; they go off script all the time, and you're not going to have that. So I don't. I mean, I would be shocked if Kansas City goes Sadiq at 9. I would be stunned.
Yeah, I'd be pretty shocked too. But that's why I put him trading to 12 and taking him there right before the Ravens have a chance to.
And I think part of the reason why he's not considered, top 8 or somewhere is because, it's going to be tough to fit him in. What is he? Number 1?
Yeah.
One of the I killed Jacksonville last year for the people I remember with the trading up for Travis. I'm like, don't give me that bullshit. He's not playing both positions.
That was a horrible trade.
Yes, it was. And anybody with common sense, again, my logic standpoint.
Who'd they trade with? Because they had their first round pick this year, don't they? Who'd they trade with last year?
Oh, I gotta look.
Was it the Jets?
It was just, but the mindset behind it was just insanity, which is the problem. The trade is bad enough because they traded up because he's going to play both positions. No, he's fucking not.
The Browns.
Cleveland.
Yeah, Browns.
No, he's fucking not. And Cleveland took Mason Graham. It was okay, but it's not. We'll see how he develops. It's not over. And sure enough, here we are in year 2, and he's going to play defense. All right, fine. Now we'll see if he turns into a lockdown corner, but you were always going to have to pick one or the other. And look, you can occasionally maybe throw in a sprinkle of package and have him do a manufactured touch on offense. But the idea that he was going to be Chuck Bednarik, play both ways. Come on.
Well, what about what I said at the top of the show today, John? I read about what Zach Berman had put out there, and maybe we're right that Sadiq isn't what they used this year, but is it a preparation for the future?
Well, I don't have the Eagles
after 2026.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles need an heir apparent, but the problem I have with Sadiq is not. I mean, if you get him at 23, that's fine value. I don't have a problem with a value standpoint. My problem is, what is he? That's my problem. And if you don't know what a player is, I stay away from that player. And by that, I mean,
is he Kyle Pitts? Is he a glorified receiver that plays?
Well, he is a glorified receiver that plays tight end. And that's what I mean by what is he? And you have to have a certain plan, like day one. This guy, change the fucking label. Say, this guy's a big receiver, big slot receiver. And don't fuck around with you have to have.
You telling me we're drafting Johnny Wilson at number 23?
Well, he's a lot more athletic and skilled if he tries, everybody I've talked to says, and that's half the battle. So he's willing. So maybe he can turn into a tight end. But you have to have that mindset. Like you have to figure out where he's going to play first. And when that's a question, I don't like those players. I'm not drafting those players. If you watch the film and it doesn't scream to you, and that's why I use Hunter, what he is, don't take him. And I say the same thing. Hunter is more obvious because you're talking about offense, defense, and he can play both at the
I
college
just can't
level.
believe NFL teams fell for that. Like, it's one thing for a fan to be like, "Yeah, Hunter's going to play both." I mean, I can't believe. Was there
Well,
real
I can't
NFL
believe it
teams?
either. That's what I'm
Was
saying.
there really NFL teams? Oh yeah, let's project into the future that a
Well, there's
guy's going to play
one.
both positions. I mean, guys can barely play healthy or stay healthy playing one side of the ball. And you got
There
to
was
do
there
playing
was at
both.
least one who thought that way, but the more obvious ones that are more conventional, Reuben Payne. What is he? I don't want him. Spencer Fanu. What is he? I will I don't go down the full path of I don't want Fanu because I think ultimately I know what he is and I think he's going to be a guard. So as long as you make that decision, like Reuben Bain, if I think he's a defensive tackle. If you have people in your building saying, no, he's too good as an edge rusher, don't take him. But other people in the same building saying he's what I say, he's got to be a 3 technique. Don't take him. Only if you have a clear, concrete plan. And that's my concern with Sadiq.
So what the heck are the Bucs going to do at 15? And how do you project that out to be?
Well, I've seen a lot of Messidor, but I think 15 is way too early for him. And that's why I think you see
The trade out stuff,
the
right?
trade out stuff. And
Right.
a couple of them had him trading to the Eagles because that's a logical spot to go up to get a tackle. And then I've seen Sadiq. So I've seen Messidor and Sadiq most with Tampa. That's what I keep seeing. And if they go down to 23 to get Messidor, I would feel a lot better about it for them than if it was at 15. But that's just the value play. If the player's good, ultimately the player's good. If he's not, he's not. So it's not going to matter. But get something extra softens the blow, at least.
16 is the New York Jets, John. Their second pick of the first round. They're at number 2 and number 16. This is an interesting one. Could go a lot of different directions here. What do you see with the Jets at 16? And is this a trade-up spot potentially for the Eagles? Right above.
If they want Ty Simpson, but I don't think they want Ty Simpson.
So do you have Ty falling out of the first round?
He could. I think somebody will go up. Most likely Arizona will go up to get him to get the 5th-year option. So late in the first round, I think he'll end up going. But he could. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. Fall out. Everybody's got the Jets looking for a wide receiver to get a compliment to Garrett Wilson. And at least they have an average quarterback to get them the football this year as opposed to last year. So I've seen a lot of Omar Cooper. In the case of
the specific Omar Cooper,
in who I like as player, I think, the Eagles have to take a receiver at 23. I'm taking Cooper. If you look at the other guys, McShay's got Tate falling to 16, which I don't see. That'd be a home run. I mean, that'd be a freaking home run. And both Schrager and Lance Zierlein have Mekhi Lemon falling to 16. So everybody had him taking a receiver. Everybody. So I think that's a clear need. It's similar to 17.
And the Jets have an offensive line. Forgive me, I don't know enough about Jets football, but
it's okay. I mean, Vera Tucker's still there. It's solid. It's not the Giants level bad. I mean, they were just a disaster. From a quarterback standpoint,
it just feels like half these teams that suck. It's like I don't know. I feel like they don't prioritize the right shit at all. Like Dude, first
Well,
thing
when
you
it's
like
hard.
you said, get a fucking offensive line. If you don't have an offensive line, save the Omar Coopers and all of that crap for another team. You need to get an offensive line. Now, I'm not saying the Jets aren't thinking that. Maybe their O-line.
Oh, they lost Vera Tucker, by the way. Yeah, they lost. Where did he sign? He's a pretty good player, but he's had injuries. Patriots. He's with the Patriots. That could work out well if he ever stays healthy. But they drafted Bashano, so but it's tough to gauge with the Jets. When your quarterback plays that bad, it's tough to gauge. So there's two teams you can't really gauge last year. And to me, it was the New York Jets and Minnesota's quarterback play, which it's tough to gauge because when you're that bad at quarterback, I don't get the sense that the Jets are terrible on the offensive line. Joe Tippmann's okay. Membu, Fashanu's got talent at the bare minimum. So these are not household names, but I think they'll be a lot better, at least be competent. And Geno is at least competent. So I think wide receiver makes a lot of sense for them.
No doubt. All right, number 17, Detroit. This is a big one, John, because they're in the tackle business right now. So if the Eagles want to tackle, are they going to have to jump the Lions? What do you see the Lions doing? Who do you think they like in the draft?
Well, I definitely think if you want Proctor, this is the team you have to jump. And I think the Eagles want Proctor. So, yeah, I think that's the team you got to go ahead of.
I don't know. What if Freeling's still on the board?
I think they would take Yeah, we talked. I think they would.
No, you think the Eagles would take Proctor? What about You think the Lions would take Freeling or Proctor?
I think that's an interesting question. I don't know. I think they would still take Proctor because they're going to move Sewell to left tackle, and I think they would want. Now you could always, if you draft Freeling, you could keep Sewell at right tackle, where he's an All-Pro. And draft Freeling to play left tackle. So it's not like they can't change their mind, but from all indications I've seen, they're planning on playing Sewell at left tackle. If that's the case and that's the way they want to go, then I think they'd rather have Proctor. But I think they would make do with either. If it shakes out the other way, but everybody's got him taking a tackle. Everybody. So McShay's got him taking Blake Miller. Schrager's got him trading up to get Proctor, I believe. Yes. And Zierlein's got him staying put to take Proctor. And Jeremiah's got them staying put and taking Freeling. So it's all offensive tackles. And I think pretty clearly because of what happened to them last year, which had more to do, not only with that, I mean, had more to do interior with Frank Ragnow.
Yeah,
but
Frank Ragnow tried to come back. He retired. Yeah. That was brutal for them.
Yeah. I mean, they were at their height. They were in the conversation with the Eagles as having the best offensive line in football. And it's that's how quickly things move in the NFL with, you lose Ragnow, you lose Decker, and all of a sudden you're O-line desperate. So that's what the Eagles are trying to avoid.
We'll see what ends up happening with that one. All right, 18, John, is interesting. The Vikings getting closer to Eagle Land here. 18 Vikings. You've talked about their need at safety. Jeremiah has Colton Hood mocked there at 18 in his final mock draft that he did. What do you see at number 18?
Definitely defense. I've seen a lot of Thieneman here, probably more than any other player mocked at any other team. That's been number one. That's but they kind of know, like nobody else knows if Harrison Smith is coming back. If he is, they probably go a different direction, and they probably know that. But I would say Thieneman's most if Harrison
I don't
Smith
really get it on Harrison Smith. Like, what do you mean we don't know if you're coming back? It's April, dude. Make a decision. I need to
well,
build a
that's
football
some of
team.
these guys. But my point is he probably has made a decision. We just don't know it. And in
Right. So
other words, the
they probably know.
organization knows.
All right. Okay.
And they will certainly know before the draft because they can't go into it with the assumption. So that's why I just hesitate. And you've seen some Colton Hood, which I would not advocate. And then defensive tackle because they have no defensive tackles. This is a perfect example of not draft proofing, and you got to take a defensive tackle. So this is where you might see a surprise with a Peter Woods or Caden McDonald or one of those defensive tackles just because of their need. And needs the worst talent evaluator in sports. So they're probably gonna reach for a defensive player at 18.
Yeah, I could see that as well. 19, John, you have the Carolina Panthers. The mock from Jeremiah has them taking Dylan Thieneman. I don't know about that. What do you see at the Panthers? And maybe that could be a trade-up spot for the Eagles. Jump right ahead of the Cowboys, who are sitting at pick 20.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Thieneman, I've seen a lot. If the Vikings pass on him, I think he could go right away. So 18, 19. Schrager has Houston trading up to get Blake Miller. So there is a potential trade scenario there. Zierlein's got him staying put. And drafting Casey Concepcion, I think that's a little bit early. I like the player, but I think that's a little bit early. And as you mentioned, Jeremiah with Thieneman as well. I don't have a beat at all on Carolina. I got to be honest with you. But the name I've seen most is Thieneman. So I think he's going 18 or 19 to Minnesota or Carolina.
We'll see about that. John, Dallas Cowboys sitting at 20. They're an interesting one because they have 12 and 20. So you can make an argument they're positioned well, but you can also make an argument they're positioned right outside where you want to be for taking 2 first-round players in this draft. What do you think they do at 20? And then how do you see them kind of trying to play the draft this year? Maybe they package them up. Do they try and go higher? Do they try and, get out of 20? A lot of different ways the Cowboys could go here.
Yeah, I think with the Cowboys, it's defense, Christian Parker trying to help out Christian Parker. And, if you're staying at 12, maybe Caleb Downs, Ballsy, I doubt it. They have a lot of interest in Sonny Styles. So people have talked up, packaging to move up. But one thing they also, you'd like to get 2, and, one's got to be a pass rusher. So either you trade into the top 5 or 6, Cleveland at 6 would be, and get Arvell Reese if he begins to fall, or you got to get a pass rusher at 20. I think the more likely scenario is 20. And that's where, the TJ Parkers come in, the Malachi Lawrences, who seem to be getting a lot of late hype, the Keldrick Falks, who I don't think is a pass rusher, so I would stay away from. And Messidor as well, if he gets past Tampa Bay. So those are the names I would think you would look at 20. They could take a corner. So, one of those corners, the Colton Hoods, the second level corners, because they need help they need help at every level on defense.
John, I'm going to ask you 2 different scenarios here. Okay. And they're polar opposites. What is the dream scenario for Cowboys fans with their 2 picks? I'm not talking about other teams' picks. I'm talking about their 2 picks. And what is the dream scenario for Eagles fans when it comes to the Cowboys pick? So not talking about who the Eagles are going to draft. What's the dream scenario for the Eagles fans for what the Cowboys do with their 2 picks?
Well, I think the dream scenario with the Cowboys would be Downs falling, getting him, and then getting a good pass rusher. And I guess Messidor. I think that would be the dream scenario.
Okay.
For the Eagles, I would think they draft one of those corners that I talked about, maybe Colton Hood at 20.
Okay.
And at 12, they take Reuben Bain, and he just can't play because of his, they try him at edge rusher, and
Right.
he's
Okay.
just.
So that would be the dream. So Eagle fans, if the Cowboys end up with a Colton Hood and Reuben Bain, then Johnny Mac's feeling good for you guys. All right, good stuff there. There's the Cowboys at pick number 20. 21, the Steelers, John. I was surprised to see Blake Miller, in the mock from Daniel Jeremiah, the final one. Blake Miller goes at 21 to the Steelers. They're an interesting team, typically make pretty good decisions in the NFL draft. What do you see the Steelers doing at 21?
Yeah, they're another tackle team. That's part of the problem. You got 2 heavy tackle teams with Detroit and Pittsburgh ahead of you.
Yeah.
So, McShay hasn't taken Ian Acor. Schrager hasn't taken Freeling. He's got Freeling falling to that point. And so your line's got them trading out with Cleveland's. And who would they pick? He's got him taking Keldrick Falk, which I don't necessarily agree with. So mainly, tackle heavy. And you mentioned Miller. Who did Jeremiah Miller? Blake Miller. So
Blake Miller, yep.
They're a heavy tackle. They're going to take a tackle. So, again, the Eagles got to get ahead at 21 and 17 if they want to get the tackle that they really want. And that's probably going to take your 68th overall pick and your first pick in the 4th round, I would think. Howie might also flip some late draft capital. He might go future. Remember, Howie will go future picks as well, which other people won't do. So a lot of avenues you can go, but that's the most logical one.
Good stuff. All right, 22. See, this is interesting to me. You got the Chargers at 22, 1 spot ahead of the Eagles. They have Jeremiah has them taken Vega, Ione. I don't think Vega falls that far, but boy, would I be interested to see how the Eagles would handle it if he did fall that far. What do you see the Chargers doing in this draft, John?
Well, they don't need tackles. Obviously, their issues at tackles last year were completely injury related. So Vega, if he falls, he'd be a natural selection for them.
I could see them jumping to 15 to take Vega, not letting the Eagles trade there, and going jumping to 15 with the Bucs instead of the Eagles trading with the Bucs, and boom, they get their interior guard.
Yeah. Everybody else has got them going defensive line. So they're having Caden McDonald again. Don't be surprised if he's a first round pick, kid from Ohio State. Keldrick Falk, Akeem Messidor, another Messidor possible landing spot. So I would say interior offensive line. Yeah, if Vega falls, that's a no-brainer for them. And if not, they're probably going to go defensive front.
Boy, outside the top couple picks, defensive front doesn't feel like.
I don't like it at all.
I know. There's
not at all.
There's no interior defensive tackles, really. You got Peter Woods, you got a couple names that you just mentioned, but.
Well, I think Falk's going to be a good player, but I think he's not a pass rusher. So if you're looking for an interior, they make sense for me with Falk because I think he's a defensive tackle. And then, so, I think that's a good pick for them, Falk. But I'm not, to your point, I'm not in love with once you get back past Reese, I'm not, Bailey and Reese are legit top tier prospects. And once you get past those two, the edge rushers are not really setting themselves apart. Like, there's a lot of Malachi Lawrence hype because, again, the difference between, say, if Messidor's the next guy, as most people would have, and I'm not counting Reuben Bain, so I'm not counting him because, again, I don't think he's an edge rusher, and just my personal opinion. So if you have Messidor, most people would have Messidor at number 3. And then you have the TJ Parkers and the Keldrick Falks. Again, I think Falk is a interior player. Cassius Howell, Gabe Jacobs, Mason Thomas, Romello Height, Zion Young, Malachi Lawrence. Similar value. You can go from throw in Derek Moore, 20 to 50. You can get, if you can get Zion Young in the second round, I'd rather have that than taking TJ Parker at 22. But, if you like the player, you like the player. Just take the player. I don't like the defensive front players at the top of this draft. I like them in the second round. I like a lot of them, but I don't like them at the top.
So Eagles there, 23 next. John, who are the trade down candidates for you think they would try and trade down?
I don't. I just, it's not Howie's mentality.
They got to get a player, right? I mean, they're going to be aggressive, I think.
I mean, this is a draft where you probably have at most, and I'm stretching it, you have 15 legitimate first round picks. So I think he wants one of those 15.
Yeah, but what if the trade up doesn't work? Like, it didn't work last year. Now they got lucky because Campbell fell to him still. But what if it doesn't work and Howie's like, well, fuck, now I got a bunch of dudes I had a second round grade on sitting here at 23.
Well, sometimes you have to, and he mentions that you got to be comfortable. You got to have 23 names. You got to be comfortable. And he made that mistake way back with Marcus Smith, and, things didn't fall the way they thought, and he's not going to do it again. And that's where I think you have the Ian Akers, the Caleb Lomus, the Blake Millers.
See, that means that to me, what you just said means I think he's going up. Because I don't think he has 23 names, and I think he knows that.
Oh, no. Definitely as far as, legit first-round grades. It's not even close to 23. I'm saying guessing about 15. And maybe it pushes to 16 because Mendoza is not on their list. So maybe about 16. 16 players. And that's why I think he's trying to go up and get Caden Proctor. But that's easier said than done because I think a lot of people all of a sudden want him. So they're not alone. But yeah, if they're forced to stay at 23, they're not getting a legit first round grade. I don't care who they pick. They'll talk it up. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
If it's Caleb Lomu, they'll talk it up, but take that with a grain of salt.
What could they get if they traded out? A 2 and a 3?
I don't think so. I mean, how far are you going?
Go to the top.
If you're going from 23 to 26, or
you're not 23 to 38.
Well, the further you go down, but I don't think he wants volume.
No, he wants a playmaker. You're right. He doesn't want volume. He doesn't want 10 dudes. He'd rather get a good player.
Yeah. So I think if you're,
all right, so you got to go up. Go, everybody. They got to go up tonight. I mean,
to me, the question isn't whether you go up, down, or stay put. It's whether you go up or stay put. I don't think they're going down. Now, it's possible. I'm not saying there's 0% chance, especially if, a small move down to pick up something, because they have like 5 players in the third tier and they say, well, we'll get one of them. If we go from 23 to 26, we might as well pick up an extra, whatever, 4th round pick. But and do something else later. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think the goal is to move up. And maybe if you're not able to move up, the goal is to throw up because you're not happy with anything.
Move up or throw up. That's the slogan of today's show, folks. Move up or throw up if you're the Eagles. I'm with you. Let's go to a couple super chats. Here's Brian Fleming. What's up, Brian? Member for 18 months. He says Vrabel is now seeking counseling and will miss day 3 of the draft. I didn't see that. Not a great look.
I did see that.
That came out this morning?
I believe. I saw it this morning. I don't know when it came out, but
So
yeah, well, I do think
Let me look this up.
yeah, I do think people overestimate the coaches in a conventional setup, the coach's impact on the draft. Like,
Yeah, but he's not going to be there for day 3 of the draft.
Elliot Wolf.
Wait, just real quick here. I mean, it is a PR stunt. Can you get counseling on fucking one of the days that's not the 3 days of the year that the NFL draft takes place on?
Could.
What are we talking about here?
I do think it's valuable from a fan perspective to realize, the head coach isn't doing much on draft day.
Is still.
No, I'm saying I agree with you from a PR standpoint. I'm saying I think it's valuable to the average fan to understand.
Right. That it's not
they're not.
But even with that being true, it would make sense for him to still be in the room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with that part. But I try to find the silver lining of the things, and maybe this can educate some people, because I think a lot of fans think head coach has, and sometimes, in the case of it's all about situation. Like here, let's be honest, it's Howie. Period. Not saying Nick isn't involved. Everybody's involved. It's a collaborative process, but the decision is Howie's. In New England, the decision is Elliot Wolf's. The Giants, I think the decision is more John Harbaugh.
Me too. And they're right about that, because Joe Schoen, I'm calling him now the worst general manager in football, and I don't think it's close. He makes Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah look like a genius.
No. Kwesi's a nice guy, but I don't know about that. Denver, I think it's Peyton. Now, even in those instances, though, you got to be smart enough to know that, all right, you got to rely on, in the case of Denver's George Peyton, you got to rely on those guys because there's not time for you to do it. But if it comes down to final decision and you're jockeying back and forth, I think it's Peyton in Denver. But there's very few where it's the head coach now. The vast majority are traditional GM handed off to the coach.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just funny how this thing is played out with Vrabel. I mean, I'm not, I don't want to bash the dude anymore, but when he originally put out his statement, he called it laughable. Laughable. It's laughable if anybody thinks this is anything other than
what was laughable is the excuse, because we live in a society where everybody has a freaking camera phone. And you both claim there's other people there, and nobody can find any evidence of other people being there.
They were told the story would be canned if they just showed them that there was other people there. The story wasn't even going to run. How many times you find a publication who's willing to not run a story if you can just prove it otherwise?
Well, because, you want, if they have a legitimate explanation, you don't want to look like an asshole.
Yeah,
even
right.
The New York Post.
That's what I mean. They had every opportunity.
Yeah.
They should.
There's no evidence from any angle of anybody else being there. And these two morons came up with that as their story. Like, how do you think that's passing mustard? Everybody's got a freaking camera phone. Somebody's going to recognize Mike Vrabel. Somebody's going to recognize Diana Rossini. And even if they don't, somebody else is at the resort taking pictures and maybe captures something somewhere in the lobby of some of these other mystical people.
Yeah. Vrabel. So it goes from laughable to I now am skipping the biggest day of the one of the biggest days of the off season, so I can get counseling. What does that even mean? Do people fall for this shit, John? This publicity shit?
Yeah. Well, the first thing, as you've seen from, ESPN hired one of the Washington Post investigative reporters, and I forget his name, but he did a story, and the first thing basically Rossini did was contact a crisis management expert.
Yeah, I read that story. Yeah.
Well, the first thing was to contact the guy who runs the athletic in charge, but and then look for crisis management. And people looking for crisis management experts, A, are not getting their money's worth, and B, know they're in deep shit.
Yeah, they hired a crisis management. I don't think this crisis was handled.
Yeah. Well, because if the crisis management expert gave you that advice, yeah, just say other people were there. In the era of
get a
cell
refund.
phones,
it's dispute the charge on your credit card. That's a refund.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is, though. But as I've said, the larger I think about things differently because it's inappropriate. I've said it from the start. But it's a much bigger problem. Like, I think people are caught up in the moral aspect of them cheating on their spouses, allegedly. I think they can't get past that to realize, hey, this is the same shit. And I gave Ben Volen credit because I said it, and he wrote exactly what I said. I'm not saying he watched the show, but he knows. Ben's been around for a long time. He knows what Schefter does and what Schultz does. And what Glazer does is not ethical either from a journalist. It's all
unethical, or what? Yeah, ethical. It's not the right. It's not ethical in terms of the business you guys are in.
But that's not morally wrong. Buying somebody a coffee machine is a lot different than cheating on your spouse. And people get caught up in the. And I get it. I'm not defending people's morals, but.
No, yeah, but that's not even the point here. I mean, the morals is for personal people to deal with. The ethical part of it is what's real. John, real quick, I don't want to get too far into this here. It's a draft day here, but I was a little surprised that you pushed back on like the tampering part of it. Like if they're in that relationship, can't Mike feed information? Can he get information? Like, isn't there some sort of a conflict?
I don't think people know what tampering is. You can't tamper with a reporter. You can tamper.
No, but a coach can tamper. No,
a coach can. If there's tampering, it's got to do with Vrabel constantly talking with AJ Brown.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Diana's tampering. I'm saying she's the vehicle for said tampering.
No, the vehicle of the vehicle, you can tell me or Diana or anybody else whatever you want. You can. I was the Ian Rappaport story of Mike Mularkey wanting to screw with Tennessee, who fired him, and he's saying he's getting a contract. He told Rappaport, and Rappaport got really pissed off. That he was getting an extension. He was actually getting fired. But anyway, it was really a shitty thing to do. And Ian had to swallow it for years. Really shitty thing to do. That's not tampering. Nothing involving a reporter is tampering. Nothing. The only thing tamper-wise is he negotiating with a player under contract? Is he talking about things with a player under contract that he shouldn't be talking about? It's really hard to prove because, people get on the phone and they're friends and they have discussions. And let's be honest, there's a shitload of tampering in the NFL. As we say with that term legal tampering, what doesn't exist anymore, but people tamper. Illegal tampering exists all the time. it's extremely hard to prove. It's got to be organization to organization. It's got to be negotiating with somebody under contract, trying to undermine that. It's very difficult to prove, and it's got nothing to do with fucking Diana Rossini. That's all my point is.
Fair enough. I don't want to get bogged down. Let me finish the super chat because people are whining in the chat now that I didn't read the whole super chat. Keep tears in the chat. Not a great look for Dirty Diana if you need therapy after. Oh, come on, Fleming. Fleming's whole goal with his super chats is to try and get me to say some diddler stuff on live and on camera. If you need therapy after clapping, blah, blah, blah. AJ probably has a book for him to read when he gets there. Yeah, I'm sure he does.
I mean, I think you can make a strong argument that Mike Vrabel's tampered with A.J. Brown. I don't know if you can prove it, but logically, I mean, the two are close, and, you know, I would bet that they tampered, to be honest. But I don't know how you prove it, so good luck with that.
Here, let me go to this one real quick because this is on the same topic. SMD Eagles, I'll get to you in a sec. Gary says Vrabel thinks he needs counseling now. Wait until he's got A.J. Brown quiet, quitting, and reading self-help books on the sideline.
Yeah, well, hey.
Oh, Gary.
I do think it's funny that, you know, he really has done these things, you know, the counseling. And when he had his pre-draft press conference, and he really hasn't admitted to anything still. It's like, what do you, it's almost comical. It's like I had difficult discussions about what did you have difficult discussions about? Did you have difficult discussions about people making unfair accusations, or did you cheat on your wife? Like, right. Which is it? And that's, by the way, that's his personal hell that he's got to go through in his home. You know, again, that's none of my business, but it's been comical to try to see them toe the line without admitting that they've done what they're accused of doing.
Here's Brando Shreds. This Vrabel counseling move only makes the story worse. Why would New England allow this if there wasn't potentially more pictures or another shoe to drop? It's fair thought process.
It's a public relations move. You know, some people buy it.
Crisis management move, John.
Some, you know, when you have somebody going to counseling, 9 times out of 10, a famous person going to counseling, or Puka just went to rehab. Oh, he's magically back for OTAs. It's PR. Did he quit drinking?
Part of this business. Yep, PR is a big part of this business, no doubt. Here's SMD Eagles. Good morning, gentlemen. Just wanted to say, keep up the great work. I'm unable to participate in the chat due to work, but I still watch every single show. SMD, that's awesome. I've missed you. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for the chat and being a member for 21 months. So awesome stuff there. All right, John, we got about 20 minutes left on the show today. It's draft day. McMullen, we've done everything. We've talked about it all. We've done mock drafts. We've done Eagles only mocks. We've looked at trade up and trade down potentials. And now it's time for the draft to take place. How you feeling on draft day, John?
Finally. Yeah. Well, I you know, trade up or throw up. I'm going to use that now since I said it. Because I'm looking at these mock drafts, and I'm like, from 23 down, because it's the Eagles. I'm like throwing up here looking at these names. I'm like, ugh, I feel bad for Chicago and Buffalo and San Francisco and Houston and KC and Miami and New England, Seattle. Those are the bottom teams. They're getting second round talent, man.
Trade up or throw up, boy. That's what the Eagles are going to have to do. I think my question on the trade up isn't if they'll do it. It's how much Howie will be willing to trade. Like, is there a chance he goes top 10, gets rid of the second round pick?
I doubt, man, because I think there's value in the second round pick.
Right. Me too.
I think, you know, the best case scenario would be going out and getting Grenard, in my opinion. But, you Yeah, I don't think he would give up the second round pick, but I do think he would give up. You got to give up something, and I do think he would give up 68 and something. Probably try to get the second, fourth round pick, but more likely the first one to get one of the 15 players. Let's say it's 15. I'm not saying it is 15, but that's the range. And I think Caden Proctor's in that category for them. I think if they can go up and get him, and you're talking more the 15, 16 range, I think they'd be willing to go do that. And I would not criticize them for that because, people get caught up in the volume. And it's like they're a good team. They have a good depth chart. They're drafted. They don't even have room for all the people want them to add picks.
But they are going to need some contributors on cheap contracts, right? I mean, they got a lot of big money.
They are, but you still have the second round pick. You still have the extra third round pick. You still have that, and you get a potential difference maker in their mind.
John, how high would 23 and 98? What is it? 98 they have the second, third round pick.
Yeah.
How high would that get them? Not very high, right?
I'll tell you right now.
A spot or two.
No, it's more than that.
Might get him to 22.
So let's see.
I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too. If you can't tell, I'm going to trade up to get
the
tackle.
Everybody wants that. So, all right, 23 is worth 760 points. 98 is worth 108. So that gets you to 868, which would get you to either 20 or 19.
Oh, I don't hate that. Right above the Cowboys.
Well, a little bit. You might have to give a kicker with something, maybe a future seventh.
Kicker, Jake Elliott. No, I'm just kidding.
No, future seventh. Maybe they don't have a seventh round pick. You might have to get a kicker to get up to 19.
I get 18. Genuinely angry about the kicker situation in Philly. Just so you're aware of this, John.
I know.
Stupid. It's stupid.
They've talked to some kickers, so maybe they'll bring in some competition.
Yeah, they're like worried about eating $5 million. I'm like, dude, the guy's a liability. Get a kicker. What are you talking about? You don't want to eat $5 million bucks. $5 million bucks.
It would be more undrafted, which is fine. That's where you get most kickers anyway. But if they bring in some competition, I would be fine with it. I think they should bring in competition.
Yeah, but didn't they just give him didn't they just fully guarantee his money or something? What did they do to his contract? They did something with it, didn't they? He took a little bit of a pay cut, but yeah, they fully guaranteed it. So, and that's where most people looked at that and said, all right, Jake's back for another year. But now there's talk that they've at least looked at some kickers in their due diligence. So if they bring in competition and that competition beats out Jake Elliott and they say, all right, thanks for the memories. You won us 2 Super Bowls. Here's $5 million as a going away present. Then I think it's fine if that's what happens. And if Jake beats them out, same thing, but they need to bring in competition. I'm with you. Yeah, I've said that from the start. If it was 1 year, I'm fine with letting them try and redeem it, but it's been 2 years now of pretty poor kicking performance by Jake Elliott. So, that's where I stand on that. Let's go to one more super chat. Alfredo, not to be confused with broccoli. What's up, brother? He says, no one traded tonight, ? It's potential. I could see
I mean, they need to add an edge rusher. If you trade one, you need to add 2. I mean, there's talk about something that, unconventional that we're not thinking of that might happen from a trade perspective. But boy, man, I mean, you need Nolan Smith.
You do from a depth perspective.
Yeah. Sure. So, we're talking about, can they add Grenard? Can they draft this guy? Well, if you trade Nolan Smith, you better be getting an edge rusher back. So I doubt it. I doubt it, to answer the question.
I doubt it too. I just think they're going to need players at that spot, like you just explained. Johnny Mack. It will be interesting to see, though. I do think, unfortunately, Nolan hasn't become the player you would hope for a first round pick. I know he was a late first, but maybe we're not thinking about edge right now, John. If Nolan took the step forward that the Eagles were hoping he would take.
Well, you wouldn't be as concerned if he was a number one. I don't know if you can assume that the 30th pick is going to be a number one, but
you still want your first round pick to pan out to the point where you're not actively looking to basically replace
because I mean, even if he was like, my only concern, literally my only concern with Nolan Smith is, can he stay healthy?
Right, which is a real concern, obviously.
It's a big concern, but I think he's a damn good player when he's out there. The problem is he's not out there enough. So, I kind of look at it a different way. I say this all the time. I used to have he's already a success as a first round pick in my mind. He's already a success.
Really?
He's a good player. He was one of the key aspects of the run to a Super Bowl championship. Sure. Phenomenal run. That was his best stretch of football. The injuries have limited.
Do you kind of see him like Derek Barnett then?
Yeah, sort of. Better player, but sort of.
I don't think he's played better than Derek Barnett did.
I think he has overall.
He did in the second half of the Super Bowl year. That was his best run, obviously. He played really well there.
I just think he's a better player than Derek Barnett. But Derek is another guy who people call him a bust. He's by no means a bust.
No,
he's still playing. He's still playing in the NFL. He's with Houston. Is he still with
Houston?
He was last year. I have to see if he signed with somebody else, but he was a starter, for people that don't remember, on the Super Bowl 52 team. Like, his best year was his rookie year. I think he's a free agent, but he was playing last year, but he was a starter on the Super Bowl 52 team. He's played 112 games in the NFL. How many of them were for the Eagles? 8, 9, 25, 38. 73 games for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, that is not a bust. Did he not live up to the expectations of being the 13th overall pick? Yes, that's fair. 14th, sorry. That's fair. Did the bullshit about breaking Reggie White's sack records at Tennessee, and that was going to mean anything? Is he judged against those ludicrous expectations? Is he a disappointment? Sure. But busts don't play 110 freaking games in the NFL.
Right. That's true. That's a fair point, John. I think people just get high, they get high expectations on first round picks, and I get why, they're fans. And
and that's different too. He was the 14th pick. There's a big difference between the 14th pick and the 30th.
Yeah, Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his deal here, at least, was he was pretty good as a rookie.
Was that the McCaffrey draft? Christian McCaffrey?
Yes.
It was, right? I remember I was in college at the time.
That was the draft that was here in Philadelphia.
Right. I wanted them to trade up and take McCaffrey so bad.
Well, they did. They were trying.
I know.
I remember that night very well.
Me and my dad both loved McCaffrey coming out.
I found that out during the draft because I was down there. I didn't go to NovaCare because it was here, so I went down to the actual draft, and yeah, they were trying to move up to get him. Didn't work out. They got Derek Barnett, but they won a Super Bowl. He was a contributor. And he was pretty good early in his career and got a little bit worse. So that was a disappointment. So disappointment I'm fine with when you talk about Derek Barnett, but bust, no. People don't know what a bust is.
Jalen Reagor's a bust.
Jalen Reagor's a bust.
Afraid to thank you. One more chat here. Draft day, everybody. Get fired up for tonight. I will be live for sure on the channel tonight. I saw some of you guys asking that. 100% I'll be live. Sig Lord says this. J-Mac Brainbuster. Which current NFL head coach has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson? Hands on your head. No grokking the answer, John.
Current NFL rusher coach. Well, who was a running back? I got to think about it. Yeah, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I do not know.
I feel like you would know if you gave it a minute of thought. I know, but I cheated.
I
grokked it, Sig. I grokked it.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think that quickly of a running back.
I give you a hint, a giveaway hint. He's got a brother who's also a coach.
He's got a brother who's also a coach. Why? I'm not a trivia guy. Part of the reason why is because I have to think about things, and I'm not going to get it in 5 seconds. So I can go down every head coach and figure it out.
Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was.
I thought the brother would give it away. Is there only one set of brothers who are coaches?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not. That's why I'm not a trivia guy, because to be good on Jeopardy, you have to get it right away. I got to sit and think
right. You got to be a quick thinker.
Yeah.
So John, you're telling me you like to give things some long out.
Exactly. Before you I gotta sit and think, and then I'm thinking running back, and then it's quarterback. He was movement based. Bo Jackson didn't play that long, so yeah, my mind goes in a million different directions.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, good stuff.
Good trivia people, they learn the answer first and they just pick it out. Like that's not how I do things.
So you do not want to be a contestant on Jeopardy.
No.
See, we didn't have this conversation. I would say John McMullen would be a tremendous Jeopardy player.
Yeah, as long as the show was 2.5 hours long, but it can't be. You got to you got to beep in.
Right, you got to beep in.
But in general, I'm not a trivia person. Because I give 2 shits about statistics. So the minute like a statistic is recorded in the book is the minute I forget it. So that's why when Kerr's on the show, he's like, this guy did. So he's 15-7 on grass field.
Stat machine, dude.
And I'm like, dude, I don't care. It is the least statistical game in the history of the world, professional football, because everything you're relying on others. So there's no like
quarterbacks rely on talent around them, running back on offensive line. I get it.
Baseball is a good statistic. Like baseball is valuable. Statistics are far
one man
more
at the
valuable.
plate. How do you hit when you're getting
pitcher versus hitter? It's and then there's advanced defensive statistics, and maybe that's more valuable, things like that. But football, it's again the logic part of it. It's like that's why I can't stand it. I say quarterback evaluation is broken. Like, what the fuck does it matter what Matthew Stafford does in that offense with that team and his skill set versus what Jalen Hurts does? What does it matter at all?
I think the thing that it matters with is that the Eagles offense hasn't performed to the level they need to perform at. So people are when that happens, people are naturally going to go to, well, where's the glaring number? You had 2,900 pass yards with 2 of the best receivers in football. What's going on?
Well, but that's why I think it's valuable to look at a team and say, all right, what are the issues and why are the issues with this team and this team's offense? But going to, well, blah, blah, blah does this doesn't work in the NFL. Doesn't work.
Siglord, thanks for the chat, brother. Good stuff. One more. Suo says, draft day. Haven't been active, been so busy, but I always tune in. Suo, thank you, brother. I like that logo you're working with. Suo Blaze now has some real swagger behind it with that logo. All right, good stuff. I got to give a shout before the show ends today to the Philadelphia Flyers, John. I'm not a Flyers fan, but I have been
flyered up.
I have been beating my hand on the table about you don't win in the National Hockey League without a great goaltender. And if anybody's watched this Flyers series, it's not the only thing, but man, the goaltending in this series is the difference. Skinner is not Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner's a hockey player for the Hurricanes, but Skinner is just not stopping. the puck enough, and Vladar is making some huge saves. So congrats to Flyers fans out
Well, how
there.
about the Flyers and the Sixers winning a playoff game in the same week?
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do it again. The Sixers played tonight, I believe.
Do they? They're not going to get many viewers tonight.
I don't know. I hope they don't, actually. Does anybody know that? Because
I know the Flyers are smart. They built it around the draft. They played last night, and then their next home game is Saturday night.
Because the NBA, they take so many days in between.
The NBA does the NBA do?
No, they're not
anything
playing.
right?
They're not playing tonight. So that's good because
Do they do anything right, John? The NBA? I don't think so. I really don't.
they play tomorrow, Friday. So they're ripping up Broad Street. Well done, City of Philadelphia. Can I rip the City of Philadelphia on the way out? Well done. The Sixers and Flyers are in the playoffs. Let's rip up Broad Street. Well done.
Oh my gosh, dude! This city is goofy as
They're shutting down the Patterson Avenue I-95 South to Front Street exit, I believe.
Yeah, and anybody who knows Front Street's like a nice way out, especially for Jersey people, John. You're going to Jersey, you got to get out via Front Street.
Yeah, unbelievable. Come on. Who this city is an abject disaster. I'm really sorry.
Is. It really is.
Then you get the hardcore Philly people. I love it. No, you're led by incompetence. Come to the suburbs.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, John, draft day, final thoughts. Eagles, 23 overall. Trade up or throw up is the motto of today's show, clearly. Your final thought here, John, on a draft day edition.
Well, I'm a little nauseous, so I'm prepared. I don't like the bottom of this draft. Not in the first round. Again, this day 2, Friday is going to be the more important day. So it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow because we can talk about obviously who the Eagles pick, but also what they're set up to do on day 2, which I think is going to be far more important because that's where I think the smart teams are going to differentiate themselves.
I know you hate mocks, but you gave Spencer Fano on your mock.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you one opportunity.
Well, there's a guy. Tackles are about flavors. Like McShay's got Proctor going 6. Schrager's got Fanu going 6.
Right. All right, give me a damn name. Is it still Fanu? You going to stick with it? Give me a name. Who are we talking about?
They're trying. They are trying to go up and get Caden Proctor.
So, do you think that's the name we'll be talking about tomorrow morning?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about them because they're either going to go up and get them or they're going to not be able to go up and get them. So either way, we're going to be.
We talking about him because he's the newest Philadelphia Eagle.
We're going to be talking about an offensive tackle that's the newest Philadelphia Eagle. That's my prediction.
All right. You won't give me a name. Johnny Mac, great show today, my friend.
Maybe 7 names. Could be one of 7 names. No, I haven't given you 7 names. Malagoa is not in the conversation. Everybody else is, I think. Because I think Fanu could fall because of his lack of arm length. But again, somebody likes flavor. This is a flavor draft. Somebody likes the player. It only takes one.
Good stuff. Johnny Mac, great show today, my friend. I will talk to you tonight after the Eagles make a pick. All right, brother?
All right.
Wait, what's the agenda tonight? You're going to be down there, I assume.
Yeah.
They take a pick. Do they speak? They don't speak after round, or do they speak after round 1?
They do. That's the problem. You got to talk to the player. You got to talk to Howie and Nick. So it's not as easy as just hopping on. But I'll hop on when I can hop on.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll coordinate via text on when you're good to do it. Obviously, we want as much information as possible. So we will do that. Johnny Mac, great show today, my friend. I will catch up with you later on tonight.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, John. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen, host of Birds 365. Give him a follow on X at JF McMullen. Good show today. Draft day. Johnny Manziel. 5 years later, how am I the man still? Come on, man. I see Luffy still crying in the chat. Luffy called me a name earlier. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, holy shit. Is that the insult he hurled at me? That's wild. Made me want to get the cross out. Luffy would I know. I saw you. I'm Mayan. I saw it. I saw it. I saw the chirp. Pretty funny. Pretty funny by the Luffster. Who the fuck is Luffy, by the way? Z is all fired up. Tony, I'm always fired up. I'm always fired up. All right? I'm always fired up. Are you guys doing a draft show? You know, Denny, I actually opted to take the Thursday night off. What do you think? I actually opted to take it. I'm not going to cover the draft. I decided, you know what? I went through all shows every day of the off season. The draft shows up. Time for me to exit stage left. Come on, Denny. Of course I'm going to be live. Of course I'm going to be live. You know, these things shouldn't even need to be questions, folks. Zander is. I'm not. I am not even one iota, Sean. Sean, what are you smoking? Yesterday you rolled into the afternoon show and you started throwing out insults as well on me. Now you're coming in here and spewing malarkey in the chat. What is this, Sean? What's going on, Sean? You got something going on? All right. You got something going on, Sean. You need my help. You need my support on something. You let me know, McKay. Hey, Ty Rich, you sit down and shut up, all right? Spewing malarkey, no Diddy. Of course, Fleming. All right. Zeben on the O-line, 100% O-line. Folks, we don't use A.J. Brown. What world are you living in where Kenyon Sadiq gets drafted to the Eagles and he gets the ball as much as you guys are going to want him to get the ball? I know you know. I know sometimes the Luffy-sized brain is what comes out. Run away from the Luffy brain. That's what I'm going to call it now. Luffy brain. It's like a synonym for being a moron. It's tie day. Uh-oh. JD3's got the Eagles taking Ty Simpson, quarterback, University of Alabama. Eagles draft Zander, Krause, edge, Birds 365. No, edge would not be the place to put me. I'd get my ass beat. Are you kidding me? Edge, just like everybody in this chat would get their ass beat. Here's Luffy still crying. Good luck, Zander, you dumb as bricks. Shut up, Luffy. Your name is Luffy. Luffy. Who the fuck is Luffy? Guy's a newbie. Guy's a newbie here. Sean, what's up, Sean? Good to see you, brother. How do you think the board falls, honestly? Trade up or back for the Birds? I think it's got to be trade up, dude. It's what Johnny Mack said. Trade up or throw up. Trade up or throw up. Sean, I have no clue how the board's going to fall. I do have a feeling that O-line there could be a run. To me, it feels like it's either going to be a run on O-line or the O-linemen are going to slip. You know, I'm not sure. Could go either way here. What are you talking about, Zander? We have Jalen Brady. LOL. I don't know about that. Mayim, what the F? The guy goes anti-Semitic and then calls for Mamdani to be shipped to Iran. Kind of inconsistent, I'll say. I don't think Luffy has a working brain. That's all right. You know when you have like the young kid and you're just like, all right, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. You know, he's like crying or lashing out. They don't know how to control their thoughts or anything, their emotions or any of those things. You're just kind of like, you pat them on the back. It's all right, bud. I'm here for you. You know, I'm here for you. Or you get like a new puppy and they can't stop barking, or they're infatuated by people walking by the house or any of these things. You know, you just give them a pat. It's okay. It's okay, buddy. I promise. There's no threat. It's okay, buddy. Give him a little pat on the butt. You give him a little pet. You know. That's that. That's all. Sometimes you got to show some grace to Luffy. Boogeyman. What up, Boogeyman? Z, knowing Goddard is hurt all the time, why do people insist we draft Sadiq, who is a willing run blocker? Kyle Pitts alert. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Zander, would you trade for Pickens if they do draft a quarterback and replace Jalen? I don't think why would the Cowboys trade us Pickens? I don't think they're going to. They didn't want to trade us Micah Parsons. We offered him Jalen Carter. Who's back with I just padding? How about a desk? All right. Here he is. Here's Luffy clapping back. I like a little clap back from the Luffster. Can't control thoughts, but say to draft O-lineman. Yeah, our O-lineman was a bunch of stiffs this year. I know you want a weapon, but the quarterback's not good enough to use the weapons he already has. So why do you want to add a weapon when he can't use it? Lane Johnson's about to retire. Landon Dickerson looks like he might break down at the stoplight. All right. Cam Jurgens is coming off of a trip to Medellin in Colombia for stem cells. I am being consistent, tard. Another shitty insult. If you're going to insult, you should have good insults. That's a horrible insult. What time is draft coverage start? I don't know. Maybe 7. What time's the draft tonight? 8? Oh, that's got to be a long time. NFL draft starts at 8, I think, right? Starts at 8. Yeah, so I'll probably go live 7:45, maybe 7:45, somewhere like that, somewhere in there. What happened to Kellen Moore? He was here too. They had 2,900 passing yards. They don't throw the football, dude. You got to accept it. The quarterback is what he is. Not going to get playmakers involved in the passing game that consistently. It's okay. Optimize for the run game. That's what you got to do. That means O-lineman. Stuffy. That means O-lineman Stuffy. Here has Hollywood Hogan. Hogan, thanks for the super chat, brother. Coffee on me for the long day. Good luck tonight, Eagles fans. Go 49ers. The 49ers are a bunch of stiffs. Where are they drafting? Where are the Niners drafting? 27 overall. Hogan, give me a name. Who you guys taking? Give me a name. Who you taking? Give me a name, Hogan. Who are the 49ers taking? I will say the 49ers have had a good offseason. The 49ers have had a good offseason. Wide receiver, Denzel Boston. Denzel Boston. He's got Hogan. How does that help me? He says, I have no idea. No shit. Make a projection. None of us have ideas. We're all guessing. Only people like Lupster think they know it all. We're all guessing, including all the draft people. They're all guessing too. By the way, that Vrabel story is hilarious. Are you kidding me, Mike Vrabel? The guy comes out that a couple days before the draft, one day before the draft, the night before the draft, it came out at like midnight. I have counseling. What? I have counseling during the NFL draft. Bro, you can get counseling any day of the week. You opted to get counseling on the day 3 of the NFL draft. There's only 3 days of the year the draft takes place. I mean, that is just a hilarious. That's like Luffy brained. That's like stuffy brain thought processes. Here's Sean, another guy who's preaching from the pedestal. Preaching from the pedestal. You are aware, Zander, that Howie is pretty good at putting up smoke screens. I wouldn't be surprised if Howie doesn't trade the pick tonight for established veteran. I could see it. I could see it. An established veteran. There he is. Philly Don. What up, Don? I'm late, but I'm here now. Draft night. What exciting move will Howie make tonight? Leave it to the chat. They'll tell you Kenyon Sadiq so he can clamor at the Philly Don. Would it be a Philly thing if you don't watch Eagles games and without wanting to throw the remote at the TV? So next year we're going to want to throw the remote at the TV because, Kenyon Sadiq's not getting the ball. You know? They got to give us something to throw the TV out, throw the remote TV for. If you got to throw around, yeah, that's true, Brandon. It's a good point, brother. It's a good point. Not everybody. That's all right, you know, Brandon. It's back to the analogy. You know, you pat the dog. You give the dog a little pet. It's all right, pal. I'm here for you. I'm here for you, pal. I know you're just learning. I know you're a youngster. I know you're confused by the complexities of life. I know. It's all right. It's all right. I'm here for you. Stuffy. He's crying up a storm. This guy shows up on draft day, crying up a storm. Not trading a first for Grenard. No, they're not. No, they're not trading a first for Grenard. No. I would draft Vega if possible. I'm good with Vega. I'm good with Vega. Vrabel looked guilty. Yeah, that was a tough look for Vrabel. It's a good question. Who'd you rather have, Jonathan Grenard or Alex Highsmith? Well, what do I got to give up for each of them? I'm not super pumped about a second-round pick for Grenard, but I do think it would make your team better in 2026 than any second-round pick would. You know? So if you go by that, it's like, whoa, well, I don't know. Second rounder for Grenard feels a little rich for me, but would you be cool with 23 next 2 years or something else for Crosby? I don't know, dude. Too many questions on offense right now, no? Too many questions on offense for me to go that route. At least that's how I feel. But we'll find out. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here because I just realized I'm going to be streaming about, 10 hours today. The draft's going to be, 8 to probably midnight? Let me look up. Did I stream last year for the draft the whole time? Let me look at what I did last year. I haven't even looked yet. I've been so swamped with shit. Live draft. No. Here we go. Yeah, 4-hour live stream last year. Four-hour draft live last year. And then we went live after each pick. I might just, the day 3 is tough because, I mean, we're going to have 4 picks in 4 rounds. I don't know if you're going to stay live on air for 5 hours. It kind of becomes diminishing returns. Wait a second. Last year we did a 4-hour draft live stream and then we did the breaking news for 2 hours. That was April 25th, which means this was after midnight. Breaking Eagles draft linebacker Jahad Campbell at 31. Instant reaction to the Eagles' first-round pick. So we'll probably do the same thing. I'll probably stream the whole thing, and then I'll probably go live on maybe a new stream for tonight. Zander, don't deny you don't love my water. Sean, I love all of our commenters. I do. I appreciate all of our commenters. I wouldn't be up here without commenters, so it is what it is, you know. Sometimes you got to be the punching bag for people. You never know what they're going through. You know, Luffy's in his garage right now. He's like, how? I'm going to be taking this out on Zander. What can I say to get Zander off his game, to make myself feel better? I don't need to shit on people to make myself feel better. I feel good every day. I feel good every day. I like Vega too. Zander has that silo swag. I don't know what that means. Vrabel is getting counseling from Kevin Costner. That's funny. Steph Show with a good question. Zander, how do you do business with an organization that's trying to lowball you and also tampered with your star receiver? Guys, I don't understand how John doesn't see this tampering. I don't understand. I get that Diana Rossini doesn't have that power. I understand that part of it. But how do you not see that Mike Vrabel, the coach of the team trying to trade for A.J. Brown, could be tampering with a reporter who can put out information, who can, I mean, come on, I don't understand that. So, I don't know. It's a little odd to me, but maybe it's just a case of reporters defending reporters. The thing with John is he's always been pretty, like, John's never struck me as a dude who wants to go into the bat for reporters. I don't know. John to me is pretty down the middle on most things, which I appreciate. So who knows? All right, I'm going to get out of here. We'll be live for, 6 hours. We were live for 6 hours in the first round last year. So maybe we'll be live for 6 hours tonight. We had a good 2 hour, 20-minute show so far today. We'll have a big show in the afternoon with Big Sills, host of the National Football Show. That should be a good one. Draft day. Before I go, who we picking tonight and where are we picking them? So don't just give me a name. If you want to say Kenyon Sadiq, where are we getting him? If you want to say Proctor, where are we getting him? If you want to be stuffy and say we're drafting a wide receiver, where are we getting him? Give me it in the chat. Let's go. In the chat, who we drafting and where are we drafting him? Eduardo, trading up for Proctor at 17. 17 is who? They're not going to trade with the Lions, bro. The Lions want to tackle. So maybe 16 or 15. Ty Simpson at 15. Proctor at 23. Proctor 17. Guys, have to go above 17, I think. Sadiq or Downs at 14. Okay, I'm fine with that. I like Downs. I don't think he falls to 14. Toledo safety at 23. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Not drafting anyone. I don't see that, Ryan. But maybe. Maybe you mean trade for a player? So that's you and McKay. You and Sean McKay kind of thinking the same thing there. Trading up for Caleb Lomu at 16. All right. Or Spencer Fano. You said Caleb Fano. It's Spencer Lomu or Spencer Fano or Caleb Lomu. I know. They're tough names. These Iowa dudes. Or not Iowa. What are they? Fucking Utah? Blake Miller. There you go, Kirsten. Blake Miller. Proctor at 16. All right. Gary says we're owning this draft. Vega or Freeling at 16. If you got the pick of Vega or Freeling, where do you go? I'll probably take the proven player. Give me Vega. Freeling I like as an upside, but upsides can be a little risky. You know what they say, right? You got to risk it for the biscuit. My whole life is built on risk. Info is exchanged all the time for cash and ass. Who saw my Cilio segment yesterday? I don't think I'll be using these suckers very much. All right? I don't think I'll be using these suckers very much. It was miserable getting that thing out of my eye last night. I couldn't get it out. I gave up on getting it out. And then I'm sitting at my desk trying to work. My eyes just itching like crazy because I couldn't get the damn contact out. And then I just start blinking. And I just feel it like droop out of my eye. It's like on my lid of my eye. I'm like, Jesus, get that thing out of my eye. Oh, it's brutal. Brutal. Hogan, maybe I'll get used to him. I'm not sure. So, all right, guys. Love all you dudes. Appreciate it. Luffy, I know you love me, Luffy. I expect to see you back here. All right, Stuffy. So, hit the like button. catch you next time, everybody.
EAGLES. Eagles.